So giant bullfrogs are pretty spectacular because we don't get to see them very often. But how's this? Completely unplanned, and nature rewarded us with the most wonderful surprise. It's a miserable morning. It's been raining non-stop, but I think we're going to turn this day around because wild dogs have been spotted on Welgevonden. My name is Taylor and I'm very excited to be getting wet this morning. If it's for wild dogs and frogs, well, then there's no need to complain. But we're just sort of sitting away from all the other vehicles, hoping that the dogs are going to come in this direction. So now we've just got to play the patience game and hope that they come this way. But we haven't had anything just yet, so I'm thinking we might make a slight move.
We shall be trying to relocate. They were highly mobile in this direction. Alright, I'm coming up the Karakal Plain.
We've given up on the wild dogs, but I think they might pop out a little bit later, but for good reason. Before we leave Makweti, we've got to spend some time with a bullfrog at Bullfrog Pan. We've come up a few times and we've had no luck, but I do see him. He's just over there. So giant bullfrogs are pretty spectacular because we don't get to see them very often. In other areas of the Lowveld, we typically see the African bullfrog, but they're much smaller. A giant bullfrog, a big male like the one we've just seen, can live up to about 40 years, and their weight can reach about 1 kilogram, which is, well, quite something. And as far as I understand, he has been living here for a very long time. No one knows exactly for how long, but this is his pan, and obviously it's appropriately named because they call it Bullfrog Pan. Now, these little fish that are swimming around, there's quite a few of them of various sizes. They're called hyphen barbs. Now, I love barbs. They remind me of miniature sharks. Not quite, like you've got to use your imagination a little bit, but they're really pretty with that dark stripe going right down the center of their bodies with little flashes of orange on them too. These fish eat almost anything. They'll eat insects, aquatic insect larvae, they'll eat detritus, they'll eat plants, seeds, literally anything. One of the most important insects that you all need to be able to identify and also be aware of is a blister beetle. Now, they arrive in different shapes and sizes, but the ones that we've been seeing flying around and sitting on all of the different flower species are called CMR beetles. Now, that stands for Cape Mounted Rifle, and they've been given that name because of their gold or yellow and black coloration. And basically, many years ago, the British soldiers in the Cape of South Africa would wear very similar uniforms, so that's where they got their name from. But those are warning colors, means don't touch, don't eat me. They don't even fly very fast. And what they do is they secrete a toxin called cantharidin, and they normally secrete this from the joints of their legs, so sometimes they don't always have control of it. So it's very important to watch them for a distance, but if you ever have one that flies and lands on you, that cantharidin is going to then secrete and move onto your skin and cause a big blister. It's a caustic substance and it burns, and everywhere that liquid goes, the big blister goes with it and it just expands. What an unbelievable morning we've had. It pays to, of course, avoid the crowds, and there was a lion sighting not too far away from Makweti, but we decided to head in the opposite direction. I also had a chuckle because I've never seen so many zebra outside of East Africa, so we decided to spend a bit of time with them, which was actually quite magical. We must have been sitting there for about 15 minutes, and the next minute the entire herd, all the impala and wildebeest, charged off in the opposite direction. There was one alarm call, but then no one else seemed to alarm back, so we thought, okay, maybe one got a fright, cried wolf, and the herd mentality kicked in. But then we slowly started driving up the road to have a look and see if there maybe was something. And I was looking on the plain, scanning, hoping a cheetah has come out from the rocky ridge. But then Gert says, leopard, leopard, leopard. He almost spat his coffee at me. And I told him I wouldn't have minded if you did that. And Gert captured the moment beautifully. I, of course, was too slow with my camera, but I am very grateful that once he climbed out the tree, he did stop and look back at us a couple of times. And it's beautiful with him sitting in the emerald grass and all that greenery. It honestly couldn't have been a better sighting. We've been so patient. We've not been going to all the lion and cheetah sightings because, well, we've been looking at bugs. But how's this? Completely unplanned, and nature rewarded us with the most wonderful surprise. One of the most difficult things is to figure out where a leopard is going, especially if you don't know what their routes typically are. But because he's a young male, he's probably exploring around here and hasn't settled in. So I'm just checking these little pathways that navigate through this drainage system to see if I can pick up on any tracks. I'm also stopping and listening quite regularly, hoping that maybe something like a bird will alarm and that will point us right in his direction. So I'm not ready to give up just yet. I think I'm going to spend the rest of the morning just driving around here, hoping that we get to see him. We've got him again! We've got him again! Look at this! It's okay, big boy. Can you see him, huh? Wow! He's just sitting there perfectly in the tree. My heart is pounding because finding a leopard on Welgevonden is like finding a needle in a haystack. There isn't any off-road here for good reason. There's lots of rocks. The vegetation is so thick, so it does take a little bit longer for the leopards to habituate. That was an incredible find. That was one of the best leopard sightings I've ever had, and I do think it makes it more special when it is the ghost of the bush.